up, guys? I'm Mackenzie Hart, and this is the Save the Best for Last podcast. You're probably wondering, who in the actual is this? Well, that's what I'm here to tell you about. This is just my life, my story, what I do for a good living and for the fun of life. And we're just going to take you on a little journey of who Mac is and what she's about. Just to give you a little bit behind the scenes of the Save the Best for Last podcast, today is my 21st birthday. Yeah. But the story behind the Save the Best for Last podcast is my birthday is on today, January 31st, and all the episodes are going to be falling on the last day of the month, which, fun fact, I feel like a lot of things in my life have been last, but even though they're last, it doesn't mean they're bad. And that's like a big aspect of what I'm trying to share with people is that sometimes the best things in life are last. So, who is she? Well, my name is Mackenzie Hart. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. Today, we're actually recording in my new hometown, which isn't my hometown, but it feels like home now because I'm here and I love it. This is Columbus, Ohio. Specifically, this is Good Life Studios, and it's a beautiful setup, clearly. So if you ever need anything studio-esque, I highly recommend. But this is where we'll be shooting a lot of the content for future videos. And moving forward with other episodes, we're going to bring on other creators and anyone that brings any sort of flair and diversity and creativity to my life or those around me. And I want them to share a little bit of their story and what they're about. But before I bring anyone on, I feel like people need to know who I am. So, like I was saying, I'm from Cincinnati. School brought me to Columbus when I was 18. I went to Ohio State University. At Ohio State, it was honestly less about school and more about finding myself, which was a wild, wild journey, which we'll get into. But coming here was such a beautiful experience for myself because it was truly about finding who Mac was and what she liked and what she loved. And something that I've been really curating on my journey here is a podcast and sharing my story because I feel like what I do, a lot of people have fear or are afraid to take that step to do what I do for a living. However, it was the best decision I ever made in my life. So I went to school for international business with a minor in fashion at Ohio State. I loved school, but at the same time I didn't, and I was always focused on money. And that started from a young age. I started working at 14, 15 at my sister's salon in Cincinnati, which really inspired me to get into like fashion and just beauty, creativity. I've always had a creative aspect of myself, but I feel like that job really gave me a sense of like drive and chasing a bag. And both of my parents were really about bag chasing, and my dad was an entrepreneur. My parents started a restaurant together. So the inspiration that they gave me to go and like find myself and always put myself first, and you kind of at the end of the day only have yourself. So it got me to where I am. And with that being said, to talk about my career journey, it's kind of a wild story. Like I said, 14, 15, you're working at a salon is a pretty young age to start working compared to those around me. Everyone was doing school, couldn't even drive. Like I'm getting rides to work, Ubering to work to be able to get to work. But at the end of the day, I was making money and others around me weren't. So I was able to get my hands on things and travel to places at a young age that those around me weren't able to. And with that being said, working there, I kind of ran into the family business thing, which if anyone's worked with their family, they know it's not always sunshine and rainbows in the slightest. And that's when I decided to work in retail and around clothes, and I started working for Journeys, which was, like any other retail job, but Journeys put me on to the shoe industry, which if you can't tell by my setup, sneakers really got me to where I am. And with that being said, it led me to Foot Locker. And at Foot Locker, I originally worked in the retail side of things, but eventually I got the opportunity to work on the corporate side of operations. And that's where I found a passion for operations and just the behind the scenes of the fashion and retail industry. And I got a really good opportunity to work for a sneaker store in Cincinnati. Shout out Soul Revival. So I'll definitely put that in the link below because anything that I speak about, I want you guys to be able to have full access to the things that really helped me curate creativity in this life. So back to Soul Revival. Soul Revival is a resale store that sells pretty much any sneaker, vintage, high fashion wear that you would possibly need in Cincinnati. And growing up there, I always had a really creative mind and wanted to get into fashion, but unfortunately didn't really have the resources and the outlets around me. And so I was really thankful years after working in retail that I was able to work there. And not only was I able to work there, but working there put me onto all sorts of people that were really into the industry. And may that be they were an athlete, they were a rapper, they were able to in the financial situation they were in, they were able to obtain all the products that we had, and I kind of used that to my advantage for sure. When they would come in, I would have other things arranged for them. My coworker, who her brother owned the shoe store, shout out Zoe Penn, she also assisted me in that and gave me visions, and her aesthetic was so similar to something that I also viewed as like beautiful and creative and different in the streetwear atmosphere, that I always, thanks to her, got that inspiration to help assist other people's styling. So that's when I started working there at, I want to say 17. I was able to almost unlock this aspect of myself that I never knew. And so when I started like assisting styling these people or giving thoughts to even like the Cincinnati community that would come in and shop at Soul Revival, it was a really cool dynamic to be able to do something that I had so much passion for with other people. And I'm going to pause on that note because this is where my story I feel like has a big influence on other people. Is before working at my sister's salon, I never thought that I was going to work until my 30s. And you're probably like, well, how are you sitting here and saying you're a bag chaser, but you didn't want to work? Well, prior to 15, I played competitive soccer at a very elite level when I was traveling all over the world playing soccer. And my whole life, that's what I was going to do. Like there was no other option. It was soccer, 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 or soccer. And unfortunately, at 15, I hit a crossroad that unfortunately a lot of women go through. Should they have to go through? No, but unfortunately, we live in a society that what I went through is a very common thing, and it's something that I want to be reoccurring as of a conversation on here because I want this to be an outlet for all things that have affected me and a lot of people in life. And my biggest goal with this is reaching people and coming to an understanding of a community of not only fashion, music, athletics, but an understanding of each other is the biggest thing that I want to get to in life. Is you're not going to be the same as anyone. Every single person is different. However, you can come to a common ground with everyone. And that's just a fact. Like even people that hate my guts or I really dislike certain people, there's still something about that person that I can promise you have a common interest with. And unfortunately, back to the crossroad in my life is at 15, I lost everything, unfortunately. I was having a lot of injury after injury after injury with soccer, and then I also got into my first relationship in life. Getting into my first relationship, I had little, middle school, elementary school boyfriends that you hang out on the playground with, but the first like intimate relationship I was in at 15 like catastrophically changed my life. I wouldn't sit here and talk about every ex-boyfriend or ex-friendship or family member that I've had in life if it didn't mean some sort of make some substantial impact on my life. And unfortunately, the first relationship I went into completely changed my mindset for the better and the worse in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, despite getting into that relationship and knowing bad things about this specific individual, I still kind of took the chance. And you're 14 when I started dating, 15, with a individual, and you feel some sort of way and they make you feel like they're a certain person, but there's a whole other side to them. And unfortunately in life, I've come to find out that's just every relationship you get into is there's going to be certain people that put on a face and a show that they're someone, but they're a whole nother person. And unfortunately, that person tried to take my life away from me. And I didn't obviously expect that, hindsight 2020, but I'm playing soccer. Friendships are good. Family's good. I'm on the route to pretty much obtaining anything when it comes to soccer. All these Division I schools are looking at me to play. I'm getting injury after injury. And finally, I kind of saw a buildup of my life was building up, building up, building up, building up. And then this person came in, and I saw the trajectory of my life go in a downward spiral. And unfortunately, I'll never forget the day, October 28th, 2018, I was beaten unconsciously and raped in my own home. And not only is rape a very serious and tragic, mentally and physically thing to go through, but it completely fucked up my body, chemically, physically, and soccer had to come to an end following that. So I was at a crossroad of, in a mental state that you, as a 15-year-old girl, you don't know what to do. You don't know who to go to. You don't know, can I even go to school? Keep in mind, I go to the school with the individual. How do I, at this point, where does the road take me? And that's why I share this with you in a vulnerable place, not to just pull the woe is me card, but to also share that when tragic things happen, may that be physical, may that be mental, may that be emotional, may it be relationship related, may it be work related, you always have a choice. And this is something that I will continuously always say here in life. You have two options with every situation you go through. You can be bitter or you can be better. My dad always hit me with the two B's, bitter or better. And I had a choice to make. I mean, it took, I would say, I'm still surviving, getting through it, learning myself, getting over that hill of emotions and feelings, but I had to choose to be better in that situation. And I was either going to let it consume me and I was going to lose myself to the situation, or I was going to find a new outlet and a new purpose. And that's what I did. So following that event, when I started working those jobs and finding a passion for fashion, no pun intended, I put everything into it almost as a distraction to guide me away from what I had experienced. And working at that sneaker boutique really consumed me in the best way possible. So with that being said, working that job and styling people, it really gave me a purpose, and hearing other people telling me, wow, you're good at that. Wow, I want you to work with me. Wow. At such a young age, it fulfilled me. And so following me moving up here for school, I moved up here to work with the operations team at Foot Locker. And I was still driving from Columbus to Cincinnati, and anyone that knows that distance, it's about 2 hours. So Monday through Friday, I'm working through the night, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., going to school at 10, so chilling for a couple hours, going to school. And then after school, from 8 to 10. So I would get off at 6, 8 to 10, 8 to 12, I'd go to school, get off of school, sleep for 5-6 hours, go to work through the night every single day. And no shade to Foot Locker, but to completely shade, we weren't paid shit. So I'm working Monday through Friday, I'm paying student loans, and I'm new to, living on my own. And then I'm getting off of work at Friday after working through the night, so it's now Saturday, driving to Cincinnati, working an 8-hour shift at Soul Revival. Sunday's my one chill off day unless I'm cleaning or helping at the shop. Going back to Columbus following that every single week. Eventually, that got really exhausting and mentally draining and not cute. So I kind of had to make a decision. But at that point, it was hard because then right before I moved here, we opened a store in California. So I was going out to California to help at the shop and just kind of venture out and continue to travel, which is another passion of mine. So it was really hard to choose at that point in my life what I wanted. So I came to a point where I'm I have to stop working at the shop. This isn't getting anywhere. This isn't making me better. It wasn't necessarily making me bitter in my own terms, but it there was no growth. It came to a point where there was no growth. And so I really decided to tap into the styling bag and connecting with those certain individuals that I still had contact with that could, hopefully put my name on the map and help me with my career goals. And so I continued to work with Foot Locker and just kind of see where that goes. I had hopes that I could get a corporate position, but that's just not how that transpired. Fast forward to, let's see, I want to say May of 2022. Yeah, that's definitely the timeline. Which I was at a crossroad in life because I had gone out to LA and I was trying to get a job out there and I wanted to move out there so bad because after working at Soul Revival out there, I had learned the culture and the atmosphere and the dynamics of Los Angeles and I loved it. And I had met so many people and had met celebrities and artists and creatives, and it felt like anytime I would leave California, my soul would stay there, but my body would come back to Ohio. And it was the worst thing ever. The worst. Ooh, disgusting. Like, I never wanted to be back here every time I was. And with that being said, I then planned a trip in 2022 to go out there and interview with the Real, if anyone knows what that is. And I kept this very low-key under wraps. And it was such a cool experience. And I really thought that things were starting to go my way, right? And this is where I talk about life. It's very, like, roller coaster-esque, right? You work so hard for something and then it comes crumbling down. You work so hard for something and then it comes crumbling down. So I'm working. After my accident when I was 15, I'm working. I'm building a bag. I go out there. I think this is going to happen. I'm going to get out of Ohio and I'm going to go to California and everything's going to be amazing, right? So that was the beginning of May. Well, 2 weeks into May, nothing happens. 3 weeks into May, I'll never forget the day, May 21st, I get a call. And the guy that had originally interviewed me wasn't going to be my boss. He worked in hiring for the Real. And he was like, hey, a different number is going to be calling you. And I was like, what the hell? Like, who's about to call my phone? Like, I'm scrambling. I'm worried. I don't know what's going to go happen. I just, at this point, had so much fear because at this point, I had nothing to lose. I wanted to move out there so bad that I would have done anything to go out there, right? So a random number calls me, and it was the woman that would have been my boss in that position. And she was like, hi, Mackenzie. Like, don't even remember the woman's name. I have some good news for you. And I was like, oh my God, here we go. And she offered me the job. And it was a job in corporate leadership. So they were going to pay for my move to go out there. And I was ecstatic. But unfortunately, like I said, in life, there's a lot of times where you think everything's going in a certain direction and then it completely pivots and your roller coaster is now going backwards. Like you don't even know what's about to happen, right? So that same day they offered me that job in that position, and I'm like, finally, I'm getting out of Ohio. I'm getting rid of Foot Locker. I'm getting rid of all of this baggage that I no longer want. Of course, what I'm about to share plays out. So that night, ironically, me and my best friend are going to a concert. And this specific person that was performing, I didn't really, I liked his music, but I wasn't there specifically for his music. It was more that we got free tickets, and there was a lot of different reasonings to why we were there. But needless to say, at this concert, the rapper that was performing jumped off the stage and crushed me, and I was hospitalized. Yeah. Which was probably one of the wildest things I've ever been through as an individual, and I really don't wish upon my worst enemy, because not only was it a crazy legal battle, but I was physically altered from that event, and I couldn't move. I was in a lawsuit, so I couldn't leave, and I was also not physically able to leave. And I'm like, of all people, who in the fuck gets crushed by a rapper at a concert? I'll tell you, it's me. That's just my life. Nothing has gone as I had planned it, but like I've said, every single time I hit one of these crossroads, I have a choice, and I've never chosen to be bitter. And so following that event, I'm like, okay, how am I going to make this life work, and how am I going to be happier, still be in fashion, still be able to dress people in Ohio? Because that's obviously where the world and the universe is telling me that I need to be right now. So, crazy enough, as I'm in this super depressed, anxious state of like, I'm stuck at Foot Locker, I'm never leaving. The world wants me here. I get a call. Again, random number. And I'm like, hi, this is Mackenzie. And she's like, hi, this is so and so from Louis Vuitton. And I'm like, this is a prank. Like, don't, God, please don't fuck with me at this point. Like, I've been messed around with too many times. I don't need like a teaser. Like, this isn't cute. Like, it wasn't a prank. So fast forward, that was in June. So about a month after my accident, in October, I get the position of operations manager for Louis Vuitton. And it's just my point in sharing that whole story is I would never in a million years ever think that I'd be sitting here, let alone with this position, with this lifestyle 2 years ago from now. 2 years ago, 2 years ago from today. I never thought I'd be here. I was so headset and had this mindset that I was stuck at Foot Locker. I was stuck with the same wage, same thing, and you can't sit and continue to think that your life is on a trajectory. You have every power to change it. I had to make the decision. I've been wanting to dive into the podcast and all the other things I have going on, which I'll continue to share with you. I never took that leap of faith to do it. I had to, reach out to those around me and ask, like, I need advice, I need help, what's the equipment, who can I reach out to, what can I do to put this in action? Because sitting back and not doing anything, it's not going to get you anywhere. So with that being said, what is there after this? Like, am I just going to sit here and talk about the same story? No, I have a lot in progress and a lot that I'm working on. The podcast has been something that I've really wanted my whole life. Anyone that knows me knows I talk a lot, knows I have a lot to share, knows that there's a lot of depth into my life. And I know this is just the surface level of what's going on, and I'm just kind of hitting the star points of my life. But the more that I meet with individuals that bring that creative outlet out of me, the more you'll know, which is kind of the enticing aspect of a podcast is like the more you tune in and the more that you tap in with the person, you're going to know more about them. And I want to be close with people that are listening to what I have to say and what I have to share. Because again, back to the original point, this is about connecting on a platform and being able to just not only share myself, but have others shares with me, and I can grow as a person through those that watch and those that come on. So I'm really excited to continue to tap in with that. But with that being said, what's the future look like? I think for me, anyone that knows me knows that this podcast has been something I've been talking about for years that I've wanted to do. So to be here is absolutely insane, and I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I think this is a beautiful time in my life to talk about my past, my present, and my future. I've always been a music connoisseur, always listened to music, made music. Starting from a young age, I was in choir in all of school, which I feel like a lot of people were, but to me, like, it was competitive as hell. Like, there was a solo, like, I was auditioning. When I didn't get it, I was pissed. I was at home cussing my siblings out. Like, it was man eat man. And so to actually tap into that music and be with other creators in Columbus, which is what's wild about Ohio, is I feel like anytime I travel and tell someone I'm from Ohio, I get the West Bumblefuck jokes, I get the cornfield jokes. Like, it's actually not that. There's a lot of creative entrepreneurs in this state, city, XYZ, and I feel like I'm one of them. And it comes down to, are you going to make the leap of faith to show that you're one of them? Or are you just going to contain that? So at this point, it's 2024. I made a promise to myself. I'm going to produce a podcast. I'm going to work on music. I'm going to work on myself, my creative outlets, and all of that will, continuously be shared on here. And like I said, I'm going to bring other people on that I feel like make some sort of creative influence to my life or to others around me, to kind of just share their story, how they got to where they are, and where they want to go, which is where I'm at. And I want people around me that are, on the same place. Like, we're in this life to live it to the fullest, share it to the fullest, and at the end of the day, chase a bag. So I'm super excited to bring people on and share that aspect of my life with other creators. So it should be interesting. Another aspect of this podcast that I'm really excited to share with people is I am a stylist. It's a very stressful job, but I also love styling, which isn't what I do for the brand. So I do that outside with the people that I'm either worked with since a young age at that shoe store or new clients I've met along the way. So, one thing that I really want to share and demonstrate on here is that aspect of my life and that passion I have. So, at the end of every episode, I am going to style the guests, get a little background information from them prior to the podcast, as well as their sizes, and bring on pieces that I've thrifted, that I've found through designers to kind of bring their look to life. Because one big aspect of styling that I feel like people don't understand is a lot of people I know that work in this industry dress people how they want to dress them, which ideally you think that's how it works. But to me, that's never been how it works, which I think is what differentiates me from other people. Unfortunately, as much as I'd like to dress everyone how I like to, styling is very expressive of what the person wearing it is wanting to portray to those around them, right? So essentially, how I dress and how Shaquille dresses is going to be completely a different concept because I don't have Shaquille's mind. And so anyone that would come on here, I want to get their story and what you wear. I feel like anyone knows the whole, if you're a sneakerhead, the shoe contact before eye contact. And I will always be that way. I will always look at your feet before I look at your eyes. Is that weird? Probably so. But I personally can get more out of looking at what you're wearing than making eye contact, right? So obviously, the more I get to know you on a verbal standpoint and an emotional standpoint, I'm going to learn more about you. But you can get a first glimpse of who someone is and what they're about based off what they're wearing. So after getting to know someone, what I do is I kind of use what they say, colors they describe, rooms and dynamics and weathers and all sorts of different aspects of a conversation that you have with someone. Use that information to together put together an outfit. So what I would like to do is every single time I meet with someone, like I said, gather that information and then bring that to life. So over here, I have this cute little rack. Ha ha ha. Get it? Cute little rack. Okay. With clothes on it. And today, unfortunately, no one is here because I'm telling my story because fuck everyone else. I'm going to dress myself. So we have a couple different pieces going on over here. I'm going to grab them really quick. I'm going to do a little get ready with me / dress me if I were styling myself. This first piece, first and foremost, I want to make a huge shout out to Heat Archive, a really cool resale shop that's actually here in Columbus. That is where I found her. That is a Stussy jean jacket. That's way too big for me. And it's so funny, the story behind this piece. I go in there quite a lot because it is one of the hidden, I don't even want to say hidden. It is not hidden. It is right there on High Street in Columbus, Ohio. But it's definitely a gem. And anytime I've gone in there, I try to find something to not only support them, but they have so many fantastic pieces that align with my style. And I had been eyeing this since I had moved to Columbus. And finally one day I was in there and I was like, can I try this? Like, I want to try this on. So I tried it on, styled myself. And it's way too fucking big. Way too big. But I had this idea. I was like, what if I make it a dress? And that's just like kind of where my mind goes with a lot of things, is it doesn't always have to be what it's meant to be, if that makes any sense. Nothing has to be what it's meant to be. And you can kind of interpret anything how you like. And when I tried it on and it was too big, but I couldn't get another one, I was like, well, we're going to make this work. So I decided to make it a dress. And I got this about 2 years ago, but I recently went on a date and was like trying to show out, because I have to. Like, you can't say you're a stylist and then show up looking like a fucking bum. That's super embarrassing. So I decided to style this as a dress. And the cool thing about this specific piece is that you can kind of do a couple different things with it. There's some white stitching on it. Shout out Stussy. Beautiful, fantastic, amazing brand. I have a couple pieces by them, but I'd definitely like to obtain more. So, Stussy, if you're listening, please send your girl some pieces. But the cool thing about it is the collar is black. So, you can do white details with it or black details with it or both, which I brought some blanks with me, which is what I refer to just like blank pieces, so nothing with a graphic. The brand doesn't matter. You can get it off Amazon, you can get it off Fashion Nova, Shein, whatever suits your lifestyle best. But I have black blanks and white blanks to wear underneath it, so we're going to kind of play with it. Maybe give me some feedback on what you think is cuter, and in the future I can use that. So thanks, shout out to you guys. But let me show you what I brought. Probably looks. Does it look crazy in the background? Just laying there. Okay, so I have a couple different blanks behind me. Poor ukulele, she's fallen about a million times. I have white and I also have black. But I'm gonna try on both, and then I'm gonna get your guys' feedback. But I can't actually get your guys' feedback, but following, and then I'll post pictures and like kind of show you the two different vibes I was going for. Okay, I'm gonna try this shit on now. All right, I'm back. New fit, same Mac. But this was the exact fit, different makeup, different hair, but the exact fit that I wore on that date. And I really loved how the look turned out. I'm going to insert a little photo of how I looked. Yeah, she was really cute. And I'm just going to kind of get up, show you the outfit, and then sit back down, explain it. I'm going to kind of rearrange some of the pieces that I put on with it because when I get up, you'll see. But I have white cowgirl boots on now. But you can kind of interpret any outfit how you like. And just because, like, this is from Stussy or my bags are different brands, sometimes I completely understand that some things aren't obtainable. Either they don't exist anymore or financially you're just not at that point. I get that. There's a lot of bags that I'd like to have sitting right here with me, but they're not here. So I'm going to kind of switch things in and out to kind of change perspective on what you could do with the fit potentially. So what I wore with what I wore with this outfit is my favorite bag, by Off-White, which is my favorite designer. And I wore it as a crossbody to kind of add some different contrast to the outfit in total because there's black on the collar. So the black sitting on the side of me kind of added some dimension and contrast of color. And then I almost thought about wearing this piece, which was the first piece I got while working for the brand, because this has white leather. This has white leather rather than vachetta, which is like the standard leather Louis Vuitton uses. So the white kind of adds contrast with the Stussy stitching in the cowgirl boots. So you can kind of play with it, which I'll show you here in a second. And then another aspect of like styling, especially with handbags involved, I think one thing that I've really learned working in this industry and just working with different creatives is that some clients that I work with are really tapped into the handbags and the accessories and all that fun stuff, which is why I kind of have some of this stuff behind me. Is I feel like I don't even want to say I feel like I know that with every silhouette and every person that you're working with in styling, what they're comfortable with in regards to accessorizing and just layering what they feel is right for them and their look is going to be different depending on the person, but outfits can drastically change depending on how you layer them, what you wear with them accessory-wise, and so on and so forth. So I styled those a minute ago as a crossbody strap to add that dimension, and the black strap is also going to be different than if I hold them with a top handle. And if you watch any modeling guidelines or watch any runway shows to see, in a lot of runways, you're going to see different models carrying different things depending on their body size, where they're walking, the track, everything. So on that date, I wore it as a crossbody because I liked the aspect of having that black, which added that contrast in the middle of this jacket. Because again, it's black here, black turtleneck, black tights or leggings, and then you're having that black incorporated to kind of bring it all together in the centralized aspect of the piece. But if you wanted to do white, that would also work. I just think that specific piece downplays the outfit, which is why I chose the off-white bag. But this is how they're going to look if you're wearing them with a top handle, which I think in that aspect sometimes elevates outfits because it draws less attention to bringing the whole outfit as a whole together, but more separating the piece from the outfit. All right, I'm back again. So the final aspect after the bag and all of that stuff, I do accessories. So I did wear my typical cuff set, which is my Hermes like cuff, my pearl cuff, and my mom actually, this is a generation watch. So this has a lot of meaning and value to me, both emotionally and financially. So I lost this, I was devastated. I added jewelry. I have a normal diamond stud. I don't have a necklace because honestly, I definitely could have added a chain link or I could have added but I thought it looked fine without it, so I left that. But one thing that I didn't add on my date, but you definitely could add, is a hat of some sort, a scarf if it's winter time, which this is a winter-esque fit, and some gloves. So I have those to add with it to kind of pull together my final look. All right, so due to the fact that my all right, so this is the final look. I added gloves in the hat, that's why I didn't notice. And I'm gonna kind of just give it a whole rundown. White font on the back, and then obviously the black that I am wearing. Alright, so that's my fit, and I'm really excited to kind of dive into all of these different creators and people that I bring on here to style them in their own unique way and explain why I brought that specific style and or outfit together. And kind of get feedback from people to kind of grow as a stylist and as a person in the aspect of bringing both people's emotional, physical, and mental creative aspect of their life into a look, which is what I do. And that's going to bring the podcast together. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Save the Best for Last podcast. I'll see you on the best day of the month, which is the last day of the next month.